This is Sid Roth saying, I have a vision. Now is the set time to blow the trumpet in Zion.
Blow a trumpet in Zion, sounding on the mountain. Blow a trumpet in Zion, for the day of the Lord is come.
Shalom, Mishpacha. Shalom, family. Mishpacha is a Hebrew word, and that's what it means. Family. We're the Mishpacha, the family with a Jewish heart, made up of Jewish and non-Jewish people that are one new man in the Messiah. Getting ready, Mishpacha, to blow the grandest shofar, the grandest trumpet in Zion. We want everyone, everywhere, to hear the good news. We want everyone, everywhere, to be red hot for the Messiah. I have on the telephone Dave Roberson. I'm speaking to him at his office in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he's senior pastor of the Family Prayer Center. And Dave is a man of the Spirit, but he had certain limits that he just couldn't seem to break through. Areas in his life that just they were, he calls it ceilings. Indifference to people that were needy. There was something more, and his spirit knew it, but there was something limiting him, something putting a ceiling on him. And God started teaching him about the true purpose of fasting, and his life was revolutionized. Dave, tell me some of the personal things that happened in your own life through fasting the way God instructed you to.
As Sid, even after ministering for several years, that something, I wouldn't even know how to explain what it was, except that a strong man or my ministry came under attack in my mind, and since then I've run into so many ministers that were under the same attack and had even been destroyed by it, not counting the believers, just people that love God. But to this day, I thank God for the role that fasting played in bringing me out of that. Because when it seemed that this strong man came almost like an assignment to destroy me, I was doing camp meetings and people were getting set free and I'd minister to them, and I heard the same thing from so many preachers, like there was a ceiling over my ministry. I just couldn't break through. And I would go into the service and minister to the people and go back to my motel room or go home, and this torment would begin. Horrible, it felt like 1,000 fishhooks was in my flesh, and I just couldn't break through it. And so when I learned about fasting, I began to fast and to pray to break that off of me. And when I was fasting and praying, I didn't know the role that fasting and praying played at that time. Well, prayer, but fasting linked together with prayer. All I knew is I just couldn't go on like I was anymore. It seemed like I was so tormented in my emotions, I couldn't hardly open my Bible. I couldn't pray. I couldn't seem like I could do anything. And I can remember in desperation saying, I remember what people said about fasting. I'm just going to fast and pray until I break this. And one day I quit eating. And even though I was in a fast, I still couldn't pray or anything. But after so many days, I woke up. And I just felt like I could pray again. I could open my Bible again. Well, I finished that fast. But then, I don't know, before the year was over, I went on another one. And things was waking up, and I was getting so hungry for God that on this one I fasted. Well, I fasted so long that my wife got worried about me. But I wasn't, because I had such a supernatural peace on the inside. And near the end of the fast, the devil literally manifested himself to me in such a way that he was exposed. I knew what was fighting my ministry, but I couldn't actually see him, but I could hear him. And he said to me, he said, I'm going to kill you. And I said, oh, you can't. If you could kill me, you'd already done it. And so he says, then, I'm going to destroy you and your family. And I said, you can't. If you could have done that, you would have already done it. Then he threatened me and said, I'm going to empty your church out. And he almost succeeded in that. And I never will forget what followed that fast. Such an increase of revelation and Satan's war machine and how he fights and overturns ministries and tempts them and draws them off. I learned so much.
You can understand how, well, there's no need to mention by name, but a number of prominent ministries, just hard to believe that had slipped. Those are the reasons?
Yes, when a person fasts, you destroy the hold that the flesh has over you. And many of them just don't understand that. But a lot of the people, they did at that time, the devil made it that far to attempt to run people out of the church. But I never will forget the results when the day come that I was able to break it. Said I'll never forget it. I remember when I came out of the prayer closet and had my first prayer line. I'll never forget it. That I just lifted my hands to pray for people, and it was a line that people got in who were bound by devils, habitual things, and had a lot of trouble. Things like smoking and addicted to drugs and also prescription drugs, and a lot of tormented people from their past that had strongholds of abuse, inner healing things. So the whole front was full of people. And so I got up to lay my hands on some of the first ones. And the glory of God came so strong that it literally threw them through the air. They landed on their back. And I heard this wimpy little voice crying out of this one that just couldn't get free. I mean, in the past, this wimpy little voice, crying and whimpering, saying, do I have to come out? It was a devil talking. Do I have to come out? Do I have to come out? And I can remember I was so shocked about it that I just simply answered. I was amazed. Usually I would muster up my voice of authority,
Right.
But I can tell you now, Sid, it's not how loud you are. It's not how quiet you are. It's if he can come and do what you're asking him to do. He said, this kind cometh not but by prayer and fasting. Anyway, I was so shocked at that devil whimpering instead of screaming and challenging me like so many had done. I'll not come out, many of them would say. But this one said, do I have to come out? And then just the voice like I'm talking to you, I said, yes, you do. I was shocked. I said, yes, you do. You have to come out. And he came out. And this was happening to many people. And said this I found out, that fasting is absolute death sentence to indifference and complacency. And this is what Jesus was talking about in prophecy, in Isaiah 58. And in the 7th verse it says, this is the fast he's chosen. He says, is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, that you bring the poor that are cast out of your house, and you see the naked, that you cover him? And then he said that you hide not yourself from your own flesh. And this verse, I didn't know what that meant. I said, Father God, what do you mean that you hide not yourself from your own flesh? Well, I can tell you now. Said the day that a man decides to fast, the day is the day that you've decided not to hide from your own flesh anymore. You decided to quit hiding from whatever it is on the inside of you that just doesn't care about the naked, about the poor, about the hungry, about those that are cast out of God's house. Whatever it is that's in you that just does not care. The day you decide to fast is the day you've decided to quit hiding from your own flesh whatever it is that is in you that just doesn't care. Nobody have to show you movies anymore of starving children and horrendous needs of people in the world to be saved. It's you're not hiding anymore. This fasting is a death sentence to indifference and complacency.
Dave, when you talk about fasting, there's a lot of questions that are triggered. Is Dave intimating I should fast for 40 days? What does he mean by fasting? What is he telling me to do? How would you answer that?
When a man fasts, there's several levels of fasting. The highest is to just drink nothing but water and lock yourself away. But there's series fasting when a person will fast a few days on and a few days off and possibly just drank a little bit of liquids in a partial fast. But there's times when people fast 40 days and they were discouraged because nothing appeared to happen. But you have to remember, your fast is not moving God. It's moving you into a place by destroying the flesh to receive from God. So don't get discouraged.
Would a one-day fast benefit moving into these areas?
Yes, it would. Because in series fasting or 1 day or 10 or even 40, the thing is, don't stop. Just keep going back to fasting. Don't get discouraged. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, say 40 day, and then you don't see what you wanted to see. Because you actually, line up on line, you're moving your flesh out of the way and moving yourself into a place of the Spirit. It may take a little longer, but eventually you will cross that line and you will see God begin to move for you like He's never moved before.
Dave, I believe that we're talking to specific believers right now that God orchestrated for them to listen to this discussion, that God has heard their prayers and is saying, this is your answer. Dave has put together 6 audio cassettes of teaching that will, I believe, give you the supernatural hunger to want to fast, to know God better, and to do what the Bible says you're supposed to do, and to walk into your destiny. We're asking $30, postage paid. The name of the series, The Basics of Fasting.
If you would like to receive a complimentary copy of our bi-monthly teaching newsletter, cassette catalog, or information about becoming Mishpocha, write to me, Sid Roth, Post Office Box 1918, Brunswick, Georgia, 31521. Or call our order-only line, 1-800-548-1918. To place a credit card order, call anytime, 1-800-548-1918. For all other calls, the number is 912-265-2500. That's 912-265-2500. For a cassette tape of this week's broadcast, send $5 to Sid Roth, Post Office Box 1918, Brunswick, Georgia, 31521. Look us up on the web, www.sidroth.org. That's www.sidroth.org.